Hi Pisces, welcome to your why reading for September. This is intended for a romantic love reading. It may resonate in other areas of your life. All right, Pisces, what do we got? What's going on? Pisces, what is going on for Pisces? Three of Swords. Why? What? Okay. Oh, Pisces. Okay. What the Hangman? Are you dealing with a Cancerian or a Leo? So we got Pisces, Cancerian, Leo. So Three of Swords, Queen of Cups, Hangman, Knight of Wands, Page of Wands, King of Wands. Well, where's the Queen? King of Wands, Five of Pentacles. Ouch. Moon, Pisces or Cancerian, and the King of Swords. So this is, that could be Gemini. I read that as Gemini. All right. So what the heck's going on here? All right, Pisces. This is someone that I think left because, or things didn't work out because I think there was just too much uncertain, too much left, quite literally left hanging. Hold on here. Smudged. I'm trying to get the smudge out. Okay, so are you dealing with a Cancerian? Are you dealing with a Sagittarius or a Gemini? But yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of stability, or were they suspicious of you or something? Why? What, I don't. How about I get into the reading, huh? What else for Pisces? What else for Pisces? It's just Hangman for Pisces. So we got the Four of Swords. This, honestly, it kind of feels manipulative, just because it feels like I'm gonna say but I have no basis for that. It's just a feeling that it feels like someone is was kind of upset because you either were suspicious of them, or like you didn't meet their needs, like you didn't do enough for them, but they were also very demanding. So it's kind of like, I don't know. On the one hand, it's like, okay, the other part's valid, but then what if the person is too demanding? Like then this is through their eyes. So okay, all right. What's this Knight of Wands? What's this Knight of Wands about? The Star card could be Aquarius. This could be Leo. What's this Pisces? What's this Page of Wands about? What's this Page of Wands? Or Pisces. King of Wands again. Okay, there it is. King of Wands. All right, so that's, yeah. You know, honestly, it feels like they think that you were really demanding, and that it had to be your way, but then when you wanted equality, or you wanted to kind of, it's just funny because it's if I may, it's a very selfish perspective. It feels like when you wanted to assert yourself and have things be more equitable or give and take, it was like they got their feelings hurt. Am I not seeing something here? I must not be, because that seems really unfair. This is King of Wands about. King of Wands. Could be Sagittarius, but Ace of Cups. What's this Moon card about? This Moon card about for Pisces. The Devil. What's this Five of Pentacles? The Sun. What's this King of Swords about? Temperance. Okay. All right. So I think this person might have been kind of just not really aware of what you needed or wanted. Hold on. I gotta ground a second. Hold on a minute, because I got all this coming at me, and I've got like 5 things flying in. It's like, oh, hold on a minute. I can't make sense out of it. Hold on. All right. So I think this is someone that it was very simple for them. They liked things the way it was. They didn't want things to change. And I think the more things progressed, I think they got confused about what it is that you wanted and what it is that they could give or what was expected of them. I think that was, it got weird from there. I think after things progressed after a certain level, I think they couldn't keep up with what was agreed upon, required, or your demands, however you want to put it. This is someone that didn't know how to do the right thing, didn't know what felt like they couldn't win. Felt like, you know what, this is too much work. Like, I don't know what I'm doing right. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what to do. And then it got weird. Then control issues started, then possible cheating, or just someone being distrusting of someone else because they weren't getting their emotional needs met, and it just got really bitey. Like, it got really like at each other, and it feels like they meant well, but then that they overstayed their welcome, or they overstayed. You two were together too long, is what this is. You two were together too long. Both of you should have tapped out before it got here. And it doesn't look like there was anybody else involved. It just looked like you two stopped being happy with each other, but your person stayed and you stayed. And they, in their mind, which I think is unfair, they are saying that you simply became too demanding. And that there wasn't a solid, stable connection anymore. So this is someone that should have tapped out when that happened, but them staying turned into them blaming you, or them initially what might have started out as them trying to figure out how to or what you wanted quickly grew like into resentment, and then the disconnect started, and then there was just all kinds of murkiness and instability and things not being clear, things being misunderstood, hurt feelings and resentments growing, and you two just became like weighing each other down. And there was no trust and no stability after a certain point, and this person just stopped trying. To be fair, it was because they didn't know what to do anymore. But both of you should have gotten out. So as much as they would have liked for things to have worked out, or I think at some point they stopped trying. And I don't know, I feel like you two are still kind of holding on to each other if you're still together, but you both need a break. You both need a break. And, you know, perhaps we got 2 kings here. Perhaps it's about talking to someone about sorting things out, but I think it's beyond that. I think this is a time for, you could have been dealing with a Cancerian, a Sagittarius, a Gemini, but I think Leo, Capricorn, another Pisces, but I think this is, you two need a break from each other. And I think your person, because it's almost like you just ran this into the ground. And it's to the point where your person, like, it's like they wish you well, but they can't sustain a connection with you because they're just, if they were to say it, I mean, if I'm honest, they're kind of being dramatic about it. They're like, I'm just traumatized. And it's like, well, come on. I mean, it's not, fine. I don't mean to belittle it, but for the context of this reading, I'm not talking about abuse. I don't see that here. I don't see abuse. I don't see anything dangerous or, horribly inhumane or cruel. Nothing like that. So, for the purposes of this reading and in this context, this person, it's like it's an ego blow that they weren't able to meet your needs because they're able to meet everybody's needs and everybody loves them and they're this and they're that and whatever. And the fact that you wanted more or just that you weren't happy with that is a real issue for them. And so part of the reason why they don't want a reconnection or why they just up and bailed and quit is because they figured they couldn't do anything right. I mean, if you'd already kind of soured on them, they figured there was no coming back from that. And maybe they didn't want to work that hard. But I feel like it's almost like as soon as they felt like you didn't approve of them anymore or that you didn't think of them as a good person or this noble person, this valiant good, like it's almost like you offended their posterity, like you offended their very core of who they were and what they represent, and the fact that they just, of course they're this way, of course they're that way, why would you ever doubt that about me? So it wasn't just that you fell out of love with them, is that you wanted more that they couldn't give, and that's why you fell out of love. And the thing is that they might not have wanted it to be based on more than that. They kind of liked being things being really dynamic and exciting, but maybe they just didn't want that solid or stable of an emotional connection. And I think for you grew tired of not having that, and that's what you wanted, and that's what they couldn't give you, and that's where the rift and the disconnect happened, and yet you both stayed longer than you should have in this relationship. So they're back to kind of being on the mend and wishing you well and hoping things are okay. But as far as any kind of reconnection, friendship, or otherwise, they don't know how to give you that emotional connection that you wanted. And it's not just that, for someone to connect with, that's about caring about someone. It's not just trying to please someone, because you could just do that to get them off your back. Like, leave me alone. Here's your cookie. It's about caring enough about someone that you anticipate their needs, that you're enjoined in, their well-being with them. Like, you two share that with each other, and it could very well be that they just didn't want that responsibility. And I'm not, saying anything shady, like, oh, your person's a jerk. But it just seems like maybe they just didn't want that right now. Maybe they're capable of it down the road, but they just didn't want that, and yet they stayed. So for somebody that didn't want stability or connection, this is someone that stayed too long in a relationship after it got sour. Even though they didn't want that, maybe they didn't know they didn't want it, but what's showing here is that somebody that really wants a lot of variety and adventure and passion, and they stayed even after they didn't feel like they could have that. So, all right. At any rate, this person is, and it's funny because we got needing to heal, we got wanting better days and happiness and being heartbroken and sad, and kind of, it's funny that shows up because for someone that wants to keep things really light and a lot of adventure and variety, and your connection is more about what you do and the passion you share versus an emotional connection, they are pretty heartbroken over it. So that's different, because you would think that someone would be like, okay, no love lost here, moving on. But it did affect them to the point where they're just like, I need to take a break from any kind of serious dating, and I just want to keep it light, and I just kind of want to do my thing while I'm getting over this, while I'm recovering. They don't want any serious connection for the foreseeable future, and they just really need to not feel. Basically, they don't want to go deep with anybody for quite some time, because they got their heart broken, even though they didn't want anything that heavy. And it's not that they're shallow or superficial, it feels like they didn't think it should be that complicated, and yet it got complicated, and then they tried and it still didn't work, and then they feel like a loser and a jerk and all this, so they're just like, I am out. I don't want anything to do with that, because I just feel like a big fat fail. And this has really been kind of a blow to their ego. So that's they're just trying to heal, and they're just trying to get some distance from this to restore balance. What else for Pisces? What else for Pisces? That says protect. I'm just saying, I mean, I think this is because everything else seems kind of like, okay, you know, it just didn't work out. But there's a history here, and there's pain, and so this is about you needing to do what you need to do to protect yourself from this, to take care of yourself. I don't think this person's I don't think you're in any danger. I don't think it's that. I just think that, again, overstaying the welcome, staying too long in a situation that just is breaking both of your hearts. And this is about you needing to withdraw from that and calling it a day, basically, and keeping under yourself, being around friends and family that are going to be kind to you, uplift you, counterbalance and counteract any kind of negative feelings or impact this is having. Because this is over, and this is about you needing to heal also. The thing is, it's not that it can't. We've got the Page of Wands and the King of Wands here, and the Ace of Cups. It's not that this ever can't be again, but for right now, this is about you two needing to, because there's just too much here. It's too much and it's too painful. Especially for your other person who still cannot figure out how and why it didn't work or what they didn't do right, and not knowing what to do, so they just completely stopped and bailed and left, and probably before the relationship was over, and then it got weird because then you know what I mean? Like they just stopped wanting to connect. And instead of breaking up and leaving and cutting things off, they still stayed. And it could be said, well, they stayed out of love, but was it, or was it just trying to figure out what would work because they had it good? They had it good there. So was it? That was for Pisces. Right, so we got Three of Swords, ouch, and the Ace of Cups. So this is a love situation that there's heartache involved with. It just cannot be right now. You both need to be in your separate corners. Perhaps somebody needs to mature. Perhaps someone needs to look at their motives, or that this just isn't a fit. So isn't that funny? Because you're both hurt, not funny, but you're both hurting. You're both probably watching, you know, or aware of what the other's thinking and this and that. Not watching this, but aware, like watching each other, maybe through social media, maybe through friends, hearing about each other, aware of each other's feelings and where you're at. And there's heartache, but there's this understanding of what each of you feels, but this is something that you're just not supposed to be involved in right now. For someone that really wanted a dynamic, adventurous connection, they are pretty upset about this. This is not the connection for either of you right now. It could very well be later with either maturity or just someone kind of wanting to settle down and wanting a more, you know, deepened connection with someone. But for right now, perhaps this was the right person at the wrong time, because there was a love there, but you two, each of you are keeping tabs on each other, though. There's an awareness of what the other's doing, and even for some of you, how they're feeling, but they're aware of you two and how you're feeling and what you're doing. But it's like there's this no man's land in between. There's just, did I do the thing yet? I didn't. Okay, all right. That was for Pisces. Let's see, Pisces. I was going to put it right here. Seven of Wands. Yeah, so this is you and possibly them looking at this and feeling like you have conviction about, like, yeah, that's right, or feeling like, you know what, even with all of this, understanding all of this, you're still standing your ground, and you still feel pretty darn strong. it's kind of the balance of feeling conflicted and yet having conviction about what and why things transpired the way they did. So I could see, like, you know, showing up and feeling bolstered by the information, but at the same time, also being like, yeah, but kind of wanting to negotiate with it, or grapple with it, because it's like, oh, if this person just, because there is heartbreak here, and you still might be in the negotiating phase of that, the bargaining, the going back and forth, wanting to, oh, but what if, you know, either way, whatever's going on, it is not, it's right now, it's off limits. You two both need a time out to collect yourselves. You two have been through it. And it, you know, it could be someone's issues from the past coming up, keeping them from being able to connect on a serious level, like past trauma, past childhood issues, whatever, being able to connect. And until that's resolved, and that might be why you're in no man's land, because until whatever this was gets worked out, yeah, you two need to be by yourselves for now. All right. I hope this was helpful, Pisces. You hang in there. This too shall pass. There's brighter days coming, because right now there's that disconnect, but just take it easy. Don't be so hard on yourself. You two miss each other, but you both need time to breathe and heal. Whatever happened is bigger than the both of you, and you each need to just, it's like you both need to kind of, not so much your person, if I may be so bold, because I don't think they're looking for anything deeper. I think what it is, they probably fell in love with you, and then they got their heart broken because there was much more depth to what you wanted, and they weren't ready for that, but they fell in love anyway, and then it was like, oh, try to make this work with it. But there's a lot to unpack, and you both need your separate corners right now. All right. Okay. That's enough. I hope this was helpful, and I hope to see you in the next reading. You take care.